Hello everyone, this is Ryan here from RSC, or better known on YouTube as RyGuyGaming. Anyways, so today I'm going to be doing a little bit of developer commentary for the Halloween event that I created with the help of mod Aurora. Seriously, she helped me out a ton with the dialogue and with the story in general, and I could not have gotten this event the way it is without her. She really did a lot helping this to all come together, and especially when it came to the art, because I am no artist. I did help with some of the art, but she's always been a great help with that also. Anyways, so to get started, you really have two options here. The first option is that you just wait around. So I actually implemented a new feature that I will be talking about more in depth later on in the video. Or the second way you can get started is you can come talk to this NPC named Lily. Now, before I go any further, I will say, so this first half of the video will be me just playing through the event and adding commentary and narrating the dialogue. The second half of this video will be kind of more the in-depth stuff. We can take a look at how I did some things and just some things that I want to mention. This one won't be as much of a tutorial as some of my previous developer commentaries have been, but I would like to go over some of the implementation details of the features that I've added this year. So anyways, yeah, Lily here is just an NPC that I've added for our custom skill called harvesting here. I realized that there wasn't really a good tutorial for the skill because it isn't covered on the original tutorial island, and so I wanted an NPC that could give you a little bit more information about it, and so that's what Lily's for. So normally if you talk to her, and if you talk to her right now, she'll tell you all about how harvesting works and everything. And she is wearing the harvesting skill cape, so once you get 99 harvesting, you can go talk to her and get the skill cape too, which has a nice perk. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and I've actually disabled the event right now so that I could get my little spiel in here, but I'm going to go ahead and re-enable it. And then we are going to be playing through the whole thing. Uh-oh. Get off me. Then I'm going to be, oh, he's still coming. Gosh dang it. Then I'm just going to be waiting around for the event to happen, because like I said, this one you can start just by waiting around, and so that's what we're going to be doing, so let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so here we go. Hey, Scary! Check out this bonehead. Yeah, what a total numbskull. Wow, only one strength? You really need to hit the gym. We've got more muscle than you. So yeah, the event is that these skeletons will periodically appear and they will make fun of you. While they're still here, you can make fun of them or try to kill them. They kind of despawn a little bit too quickly for my liking. You can usually get away with killing them, or you can maybe get through one of their interactions. We'll be looking at all their interactions a little bit more later, but yeah, so for the first part of the quest, they will just appear a couple times, and they will make fun of you as you're just wandering around and doing things. I guess I increased the time that they stick around, because yeah, usually they despawn by now. Oh, but they're back already. Hey, Spooky, only one prayer? Have you never touched a bone before? I thought we were the ones that didn't have any guts. So yeah, as you can see, they're also making fun of my stats because they're really low level, and so they're making fun of the fact that my stats are low level. And of course, they have different insults if you have higher level stats, which we will see in a minute. You might have wondered why they just went away and then came back. That's because I have them set to do that. I didn't want to be waiting around for forever to make this video, so I'm on a custom server and I tweaked it a little bit so that they will pretty much come back immediately after despawning, so that we don't have to wait around forever for them. Well, so that I don't have to wait around forever for them to come back. So we'll just wait. It's like a minute. We'll just wait for them to come back and have the last interaction. Only one cooking, I see. We wouldn't have the stomach for anything you cooked. Speaking of food, I heard Lily has some fresh pumpkin pies. Ooh, let's go crash the party. Yeah, and then like I said, if we want to, we can talk to them. If you choose option 1, you can actually try to kill them. And they have really low stats, so even though I'm only combat level 3, I should be able to kill them, although I don't have a ton of time with them, so they might actually despawn before I manage to get him down in his health, but maybe we can see if... because I think they only have 1 defense, and they can never hit you because they actually have 0 attack and 0 strength, so their max hit is 0, and also they will never hit you. So when you drop them down to 0 health, they say, "Oh no, how have you defeated me?" Spooky's bones collapse to the ground. Suddenly the bones start to reform, and it says, "Looks like Ryan's trying to send us off to jail, or should I say the rib cage." And yeah, now he's back. So you can try to kill them, but it doesn't really do any good because they just keep reforming. So anyways, after you get that last little interaction where they make fun of your cooking level, if we go back through the quest history, you can see that they mentioned Lily. So that's supposed to be your hint that you can go talk to Lily. Oh, that highwayman's in there. I hope he doesn't come and mess with us. But anyways, that's supposed to be your hint that you're supposed to go talk to Lily for the next part of the quest. And like I said, if you want to skip the interactions with the skeletons, since it can take about 15 or more minutes on the regular server, you can just come and talk to her directly and not have to worry about having to deal with the skeletons and wait around for them, so you can just get started. Anyways, I'm going to get rid of this highwayman really quick, because he's just going to attack me if I try to talk to Lily, and then we'll talk to Lily. "Hello, my lovely. How can I help you?" And so yeah, you can see all the options here she has about harvesting and stuff, but during this event she has this 4th option. "Have 2 skeletons been bothering you?" Oh my gosh, yes. "They have been causing so much trouble at my Remington patch. Can you please go there and get them to go away? They harass anyone who tries to harvest the pumpkins." And so if you try to talk to her again, you'll just get an option to ask where you're supposed to go in case you've forgotten. And she'll tell you, "I have a patch of land over by Remington. Can you please try to go or can you please try to make the skeletons go away?" So after the skeletons visit you 3 times, they don't actually come back to annoy you in the, while you're wandering around, because that would probably be a little obnoxious, especially for people that maybe just don't want to do the Halloween event. So they only pop up 3 times, and after that, they will not come back. So if we want to go talk to the skeletons, we have to head over to Remington, which I will do now. So here is the farming patch. Typically, there's usually some onions and cabbages here, but I have added these pumpkins here. And if you try to harvest the pumpkins, hey, it's Ryan again. Let's sing our favorite song. We're spooky and scary, skeleton and bone. We poke fun at the passerby. We heckle all the skillers. We specialize in causing pain, spreading fear and doubt, and if you cannot take the fun, we'll simply chase you out. There was this year we stole all the Halloween crackers. I remember the players all standing in the fall leaves with their empty pumpkin baskets. We're spooky and scary, our hearts are painted black. We can't be killed, we can't be stopped. Our life source is dark magic. Cheeky free, we're here to give the players a bad dream. We'll make sure that the fun is ours in this year's Halloween. We're spooky and scary. We're spooky and scary. Doomed you, you're doomed for all time. Your future is a horror story in our song and rhyme. Your fate is sealed, no matter what you do. So have your fun, but when it's done, one day will come for you. So yeah, Aurora wrote them a little song. If you want to know what tune it goes to, look up the Marley and Marley song from the Muppets Christmas Carol, and that's the tune that the song is supposed to go to. If you were wanting to hear me sing it, keep an eye out because that might be coming sooner than you think. And maybe I might be able to get some of the other staff in on that too, but we'll have to wait and see. Unfortunately, I would have had that out by today, by Halloween, but my voice has been kind of gone this past week, and so I haven't been really able to record anything. Anyways, so yeah, now the skeletons kind of hang out around here. And so you can interact with them if you want. But the idea is that they basically tell you, like, hey, we aren't going anywhere, right? And if you try to harvest the pumpkins again, they'll just keep coming back. And so you can talk to them, and they will give you different interactions. Be aware, Ryan only has one magic, definitely not the whitest bone in the body. Don't worry, Spooky. I will talk really slow for our friend. That's very thoughtful of you. You should say thank you, Ryan. So yeah, they just make fun of you. And if you try to kill them, they just will reform and say something silly. So what I want to do is we're going to pause a little bit from the event, and I'm going to actually show you all of the insults that they can give you. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and modify the server a little bit, so that way we can see all of them back to back, and I don't have to sit here, because they're random, so I don't want to have to sit here and sit through it like a billion times just to make sure that I get all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and modify the code right now so that we can see all the different, we call them heckles or insults or whatever you want to call them. So I will be right back, but I guess for you that'll just be a jump cut. Okay, so here we are. I've put little messages in so that we can see where the different ones start. So they're making fun of my cooking right now. We've already seen this one. This is the one where they say they're going to go talk to Lily. It's kind of unfortunate he just went all the way over there. Anyways, this one makes fun of your lowest level. Bony cow, you played for that long, and you only have one attack? You're a total knucklehead. Obviously doesn't make sense because I haven't played for very long, but anyways, for harvesting, get a load of this, Scary. Only one harvesting. What's the matter? Don't want to get dirt under your fingernails? Maybe you should go spend more time with that loser, Lily. Ranged. Don't really like archery, huh? Yeah, only one ranged? Pretty low. You should really get to training. I'm almost certain our lats are more defined than yours. Now defense? Haha. Only one defense? You probably get pushed over by just the wind, but not us. Yeah, nothing gets through us. So yeah, you'll notice all my stats are 1 right now. Agility. You okay there, Ryan? Yeah, you're looking a little winded. With only 1 agility, that must happen a lot. Whoops, I forgot to put the name of the skill. For magic, be aware, Scary. Ryan has only 1 magic, definitely not... Oh, we already did this one. Let me skip this one. Fire making. Hey, Scary. Let's take Ryan out into the middle of nowhere and just leave him there. That sounds hilarious. With only 1 fire making, this adventure definitely won't last long. Ryan will be shivering and rattling more than we do in no time. And so those are actually only about half of the heckles you can receive, because depending on your levels, they can give you different ones. So those ones are for all if you have the lower level ones. Now I'm going to set my character so that he is maxed, so I can just do that by doing set stats 99. And that should turn all of my skills to 99. And now I'm going to go back through, and we will see what the insults look like if we have, a maxed character. So let's... Oh wait, they're already here. I guess that shows this off, though. If you try to harvest the pumpkins again, and there's a spooky and scary already near, instead of spawning new ones, it will just, you know, grab the ones that are already nearby, so it doesn't keep spawning a bajillion of them. But if they're interacting with another player, it will spawn new ones, since only one player can interact with an NPC at a time in RuneScape Classic. Anyways, let's check out those insults now. And we'll go through all of them because they're all going to be different. So strength. Hey, scary. Check out this bonehead. This one starts off the same. Yeah, what a total numbskull. This beefcake must have no life. Yeah, with 99 strength, you must practically live in the gym. Here's prayer. Hey, spooky. 99 prayer. Looks like we've got a grave robber on our hands. Here's cooking. Wow, look scary. 99 cooking. Maybe you can make something edible out of Lily's pumpkins. Speaking of Lily, let's go heckle her again. Now for your lowest level. Wow, a maxed player. You really need to get a life. Yeah, I can't believe you've played for that long. So they're making fun of your playtime because you're max. 99 harvesting. Looks like you belong in the dirt more than we do. Here's ranged. Aw, 99 ranged. Too scared to get up close to your enemies? Boo! Be careful, Spooky. You're scaring Ryan. Here's defense. They're going off the screen. Haha, 99 defense? Ryan must be hiding behind a shield all day. It's okay, Ryan. The world isn't that scary. Except you better watch out for us. Here's agility. You have 99... Oh, I forgot the skill again. We don't even have anything to say about that. The fact that you would run around in circles for that long speaks for itself. Here's magic. Wow, check out this geek. 99 magic? I'll bet you cry if you get an A- on a test. Nerd! And here's fire making. Oh my. 99 fire making. You must feel so accomplished. Think of all the things you can do with such a practical skill. Like, keeping your socks bone dry during the winter? Yes, scary. I'm sure that Ryan is very happy having invested so much time in such a useful skill. I should break up that message. That one's really long. So yeah, I actually probably should have went through all of these earlier than this because, yeah, with like agility, I just realized they don't even call out what skill they're making fun of, so that's kind of a problem. And I think there was another one in there too that I can't remember. Anyways, that's not all of them. There is one more because one of them did have a third condition. Most of them only had if you had a high level or a low level, but there was one, I think it was prayer. Yeah, that if you're between 31 and 80, they will give you a specific insult. So let me set my prayer level to like 50. I think it's set stat, what is it? Set stat, Ryan, and then I think it's 80, or no, let's do 50, prayer. Yeah, okay. So now my prayer level should be 50. And I'm going to restart the server so that way they only give me the prayer one so I don't have to go and sit through them all again. Actually, never mind. I won't do that because prayer is only the second one, so I'll just skip ahead. Alright, so here is the mid-level prayer insult. Hey, Spooky. 50 prayer? Baldhead Langley must think you're pious, but we know you only want ultimate strength. So, if you don't get that reference, once you get, I think it's 31 strength that lets you into the prayer guild, and Abbott Langley is the one that you talk to get into there. So they're kind of saying like, oh, you aren't actually, you know, someone who actually cares about being pious. You only want the prayer ultimate strength, which I think you get at 31 also. Yeah, so they're kind of just making fun of you. Anyways, so they're going to go through the rest of their heckles again, so I will skip to the end and we can continue on with the next section. Alright, so for the next little bit, I'm going to show you the different messages that they can give you when you kill them. There are 3 currently. I wanted to add more, but I kind of ran out of time. We saw one of them, which is where they make the ribcage joke. So I will kill them until I get the other 2. And the ribcage one is probably the best one, though, so yeah, don't expect something miraculous from the other one. But now I have super high stats, and I have a rune 2-handed sword, so I should basically be able to one-hit these guys, assuming that I actually hit them. Or not, I will just keep hitting 0. Okay, here we go. So let's see which one we get this time. So I like how their bones actually go to the ground, that's kind of cool. Oh, we get the ribcage one again. Okay, I will skip ahead until I get one that is not the ribcage one. Nothing gets under my skin, he says this time, so that's one of the other messages they can say. I thought that was kind of funny. Let's see if we can get that 3rd one now. You can't get rid of us that easily, so yeah, that one's probably the lamest. Anyways, so that is the end of that. I'm just going to leave them there. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and continue on the quest. By this point, you're supposed to realize, like, okay, these guys aren't going to go anywhere. I should go back and tell Lily that, you know, we need to figure out something else to do, because obviously you can't kill them, and talking to them isn't going to do the trick either, because they just sang us their silly song and they just are going to make fun of us. So we need to go back and let Lily know that we need another plan. So I'm going to jump ahead and teleport over to Lily so we can talk to her. And now I have super high stats, so that highwayman won't bother me if he comes over here. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk to her. And you'll see that the option has changed now because we're on a new stage of the quest. So now option 4 says the skeletons will not leave. So we'll go ahead and say that one. And she says, oh, and then you say, they just sang some silly song. Yeah, I figured they might not leave so easily, though I do think their song is kind of cute. Anyways, I've been asking around. Perhaps you can go talk to Professor Ottenstein? I've heard he's had some experience dealing with odd things. So, we'll go talk to Professor Ottenstein. And if you don't remember, he is the NPC that you help out during the Ernest the Chicken quest, which is probably one of the earlier ones that most people will do. It is a free-to-play quest, and it is relatively easy, at least as far as requirements go. There's actually a lever puzzle that can be quite tricky. I'm going to go ahead and complete the Ernest the Chicken quest, though, using admin commands, because we actually get a little bit of extra dialogue if you have the quest completed that you don't get if you haven't completed the Ernest the Chicken quest. So I am going to do that really quick. Yeah, okay. So I just completed, where the game at least thinks I just completed Ernest the Chicken. There's my 300 GP for having completed the quest, so we'll go ahead and talk to him. He says, be careful in here. Lots of dangerous equipment in here. So you can only talk to Ottenstein about the skeletons if you have either never done the quest, so if you haven't started it, or if you have already finished the quest. If you're in the middle of the quest, you will have to finish it up before you can ask him about the skeletons. That's just because of the way the code for dialogue works. It would be super annoying to attach an extra option to every stage of the Ernest the Chicken quest. So this is just the easiest way to handle this. Anyways, so we're going to say, can you help me get rid of some annoying skeletons? Skeletons, you say? Usually, giving them a good smack will do the trick. And then you have these two options. You can say, these ones don't seem so easy to get rid of, or you can say, okay, I'll go give that a try. This second one will just end the dialogue, so we'll say the first one. Well then, perhaps they are magic skeletons, and as far as I know, there's really only one way to get rid of those. And then we have two options here. We can either just say, what's that? Or we can be a little bit rude and we can say, well, are you going to tell me anytime soon? I don't know why I do this, but this is something that I tend to do when I'm writing quest dialogue, is I'll usually put a ruder option that basically does the exact same thing. So both of these will progress the quest. We just get a couple more lines from Odenstein if we choose the second option. So I'm going to choose that one because if we just choose this one, we'll miss out on a couple of his lines, but they both lead to the same place. So I'll choose option 2, which says, well, are you going to tell me anytime soon? I'm getting to it. No need to be rude. So yeah, he skips those 2 lines if you pick the first one. First, you will need to break them apart. This is pretty simple. Like I said earlier, you just need to give them a good whack. Secondly, you need to crush their bones so they cannot reform. Crush their bones? How do I do that? Luckily for you, I've actually conceptualized something recently that can help us out. He shows you some blueprints for an odd-looking device. I call this device a bone crusher. It will allow you to crush bones down to basically nothing. I will need your help gathering the components, though. So this is the first divergence if you have completed Ernest the Chicken. So for option number 3 here, this option doesn't show up if you haven't completed the quest. So anyways, option 2, I don't have time for this, will end the dialogue. Option 1 just asks him what we need, and option 3 will give us a couple extra lines of dialogue. But option 3 and option 1 both end up leading to the same path. This one just gives us a little bit more flavor. So I will say option 3, you need me to help with one of your inventions again, because in Ernest the Chicken we help him with an invention. I don't have the time to go out looking for things, nor the energy. So now I can say there's no way I'm doing this again, which will just end the conversation. And then I can say, fair enough, what do you need? Which will just lead me back to where I would have been originally had I chosen that first option. I will need a pestle and mortar, a hammer, a wooden box, and a metal cog. If you bring me these things, 3 things, I think that's 4, isn't it? I can make you a bone crusher. That should help you get rid of those skeletons. That's my bad. Originally we had planned for 3 things, but I think I added on 1 more later on. And so, yeah, I need to change that too. Thankfully, I have been videoing this, so I have documentation to remind me what to change. Anyways, so now we're presented with a list of options, so we can ask about what we're looking for. So, where can I find a pestle and mortar? Perhaps you can go ask the apothecary in Varrock for one. Where can I find a hammer? You can find one in any general store for pretty cheap. I think you can usually find them for a single coin. The closest general stores are in Remington or Lumbridge. Where can I find a wooden box? Huh. You seem so resourceful. I'm surprised you don't know how to make one yourself. Perhaps carpentry just isn't one of your strong suits. I would head to the lumber mill northeast of Varrock. I'm sure you can find someone there to help you. So that is the second instance of getting different dialogue if you have done Ernest the Chicken. Because Professor Odenstein knows you at that point, so he gives you the whole, you seemed so resourceful line. If you haven't done the quest, it just skips over those lines. And lastly, we'll ask about the metal cog. Where can I find a metal cog? The cog needs to be made out of a special metal. I have the metal, but I don't have the skill to work it into a cog. Maybe you can give it a try. Here, take this and see what you can do with it. So, option number 4 is actually the only one we have to ask because it's the one where he gives us the metal bar here. The rest of them you don't actually have to ask if you already know where to get these items. And if you try to ask option number 4 again while you're holding the aluminium bar, he won't give it to us again. He's just going to tell us that, maybe we can give it a try. So we'll just say I'll get to looking then, and that just ends the dialogue. I don't know why there are ashes underneath me. If we try to talk to him again, we will just get the option that says about the bone crusher, and it will just present us with the list again so we can go looking for the items. So we'll go find the items in order. Thankfully, I have some coins from completing, in air quotes, Ernest the Chicken. And I already have the aluminium bar. So first we'll head to Varrock to get the pestle and mortar, and I guess we'll just examine the aluminium bar first so we can see the examine text. It says, this looks malleable. I went with the, European, rest of the world, non-American spelling for aluminum, because normally I would spell it and say it aluminum, but as our RuneScape is a British game, I figured we might as well go with the native spelling to where the game is from. Anyways, so I'm going to hop on over to Varrock. So while I'm walking over to the apothecary, I just want to mention, normally the pestle and mortar is a members item, but traditionally, Halloween events and other holiday events are free to play. And so what I did is I actually had to make a separate item that is specifically basically just the regular pestle and mortar, but it's free to play. And you can't use this pestle and mortar to do Herblot. First of all, because Herblot is a members only skill, and secondly, because it just doesn't have the interactions. I didn't want to go through the, having to code in all the interactions for a second item. So technically, though, Audenstein will accept both. He will accept the pay-to-play pestle and mortar or the version that the apothecary gives you, because I figured there might be some people, since Cabbage is a member server anyways, that just go and buy one from the Taverly store, because it might be easier or quicker for them. I don't know. I figured some people might just go buy one, or they might pick one up from their bank. So he will accept it if you have the pay-to-play one. But I wanted to, in the spirit of holiday events, provide a free-to-play one. So that way, if someone wanted to do this event on a free-to-play server, they totally could. However, I did mess up, and I'll talk about that when we get there. Anyways, so this option here appears when you are on this stage of the quest and you are not holding the pestle and mortar that he gives you. Normally you would have two options here for some Cabbage-specific quality of life things. The apothecary can empty your vials and also fill them with water. So those options go away, and this option appears during the quest, but they come back once you're done with this quest stage. So we say, can I have a pestle and mortar? And he says, you're in luck. Normally, I would ask you to go fetch me some potion ingredients in exchange, but I recently picked up a brand new set and I don't need my old one anymore. Here you go. The apothecary hands you a worn-looking pestle and mortar. And you can see that this one is called Chipped Pestle and Mortar. So I named it that at the suggestion of mod log, to kind of imply that you can't use this for regular herb law, because it's chipped, right? So if we examine it, it just says the apothecary's old pestle and mortar. So let's go ahead and go get the second item, which we can just come and grab from over here, because this is a general store. We just need a hammer really quick, so we'll just grab a hammer. And we're going to do a little bit out of order, but because we're next to an anvil also, we'll go ahead and shape the aluminium bar into a cog. Now, in order to do this, you do need a hammer in your inventory, just like when you're smithing and everything else. But if you do try to smith the aluminium bar without a hammer, you get a special message. It says, despite the apparent malleability of the strange metal, you still need a hammer to work it. The reason that the player and Audenstein referred to the metal as strange is because aluminium is a relatively new discovery. Back in medieval times, people weren't really making things out of aluminium. And also, I thought aluminium was a funny metal to make a cog out of anyways, because I highly doubt that is something you would want to make a machine part out of, right? Aluminum. Probably not the best idea. Anyways, so if we have a hammer in our inventory, though, we can use the metal bar on the anvil, and you hammer the strange metal. It is surprisingly easy to work. You manage to form the metal into a cog. So I guess our player is actually pretty skilled with smithing, because I imagine it would be pretty hard to work a bar into the shape of a cog without a mold or anything. But yeah, I guess we can just assume our player is pretty skilled, even though you technically don't need any smithing to be able to do that. In fact, this whole quest can be done if you have all level 1 stats. Now I'm just walking over to the lumber yard. And anyways, while I'm doing that, let me examine the aluminium cog, and it says a piece of machinery as the examine text. So you might notice that a couple of the items have lowercase names. I did this just to keep in the spirit of RuneScape Classic. RuneScape Classic has a very, very bad problem of, programmers just putting stuff in as quickly as possible and never ever proofreading their stuff. So there's lowercase letters everywhere, there's misspellings everywhere, all that good stuff. And so just to keep in the spirit of it, I usually will leave some items lowercase, but I try to avoid spelling mistakes because those just bug the heck out of me. But lowercasing things isn't as bad, even though it does still bug me. Anyways, so here we are at the lumber mill, and this is where I messed up when it comes to the free-to-playness of this event, because in order to get into the lumber mill, you have to have at least started the Gertrude's Cat quest, which if we look at, oh, here it is. Sorry, that took me a second to find. If we look at, it's actually a member's quest, so that's my bad. I will have to move this NPC outside of the lumber mill, so that way he can be accessed without starting the quest. Because usually you don't want to lock event NPCs behind quests either. Thankfully, Gertrude's Cat is a really easy quest, and you can get to the stage in the quest where you can go through the fence pretty easily. But yeah, it is a mistake, and I will have to fix it. So here's the miller NPC. If you are a fan of Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, you might recognize the name Sandyman. In the Lord of the Rings in Hobbiton, there is the miller named Ted Sandyman. Well, Ted is actually the miller's son, right? So I named this guy Todd Sandyman. And I guess Ted Sandyman was actually based off of a real-life son of a miller. And I was reading on the Tolkien wiki that people were typically okay with the miller, but the son was particularly, not great. And so they actually called the son the White Ogre, because he was always wearing a dirty white shirt, and they just didn't like him very much. And so that's kind of who I base this NPC off of, and it's kind of like a multi-layered reference, because Ted Sandyman is based off of someone from Tolkien's life, and Todd Sandyman here is based off of Ted Sandyman. So kind of a little bit of, digging for people if they want to do that. Anyways, he's not very pleasant, just like his book and real life counterpart. He says, "Hey, get out of here, you'll just get yourself hurt." And we have a couple options here. You can say, "All right, fine." You say, "Can you make some planks for me?" And you say, "Can you help me make a wooden box?" "All right, fine," just ends the dialogue. Option 2 is actually kind of a teaser for a skill we've been wanting to add to Cabbage for a while, which is carpentry, which is actually the predecessor to construction if you've ever played RuneScape 2 or 3 or old school RuneScape. So the idea is you would make a player-owned house using the carpentry skill. And so in RuneScape 2, 3, old school RuneScape, there is the lumber mill does have the function of being able to convert logs into planks. But if you pick this option right now, he just tells you that he's not set up to just take random orders, so it is just kind of a teaser for right now. And you'll also notice that there are a couple jabs at the player not knowing how to do carpentry, like earlier when I talked to Audenstein. He did mention that he thought carpentry might just not be one of my strong suits, which it isn't, because currently the player has no way to train carpentry. So yeah, they don't really know anything about it. Anyways, so let's go ahead and ask him the third option here. "Can you help me make a wooden box?" He says, "A wooden box, you say? If it'll get you out of here, sure. Should be pretty simple. Surprised you can't figure it out for yourself. I assume you don't know much about carpentry then. All you need is a hammer, some nails, and 5 planks. I've already got some nails and a hammer. If you bring me 5 logs or 5 planks, I can make the box for you." So planks, I think they can only be found in the wilderness. I think there's a spawn, you can go pick them up. But if you look around, we have some logs just laying around here, so we can just pick them up. So it's kind of funny that he has you picking up logs when they're literally just right next to you. But the point of holiday events is not to be super tedious. It's just to kind of be a fun time waster to distract you from your regular grind. So nothing too crazy here. So we can just pick up the logs and then we can go back and talk to him again. And I guess if you really wanted to, you could walk out into the wilderness to go get the planks. But yeah, the logs will do just fine. He does accept either though. So let's go ahead and talk to him again. And his options don't change, but we can ask him about making the wooden box, and this time the dialogue changes. "I have the logs that you asked for. Todd takes the logs from you. Todd runs the logs through the mill to convert them into planks. Todd arranges the planks and hammers some nails into them. You don't really understand what he's doing. After a minute, Todd hands you a wooden box." Shoot. "You really should learn a thing or two about carpentry. Imagine not knowing how to make something as simple as a box." So yeah, again, just a ton of jabs at the player for not knowing how to do carpentry. I guess this whole event is basically just taking pot shots at the player. I'm going to teleport through this fence because I don't think I can actually get back out because I haven't done the Gertrude's Cat quest. So I'll just teleport. Anyways, so here's the wooden box. If we examine it, as you can expect, it just says a box made of wood. There's not much else to know about it. And so yeah, now we have the chipped pestle and mortar, the hammer, the metal cog, and the wooden box. One thing I do want to show though, that I forgot, is if we talk to Todd again while we're holding the wooden box, we don't actually get the option to talk about the wooden box anymore. If we drop the wooden box, we would be able to ask him about it again, and he would just tell us the same thing, that we need to go get 5 logs to make it, and he would just make us a new one. I also forgot to show, which is why I'm teleporting back over here, if we talk to the apothecary again, since we're holding his pestle and mortar, he doesn't have the option to ask for it anymore. Just the quality of life options come back for emptying the vials and filling vials with water. So, yeah, as long as I'm holding this, he won't ask me about it anymore, at least during this stage of the quest. But anyways, now I have all 4 items, so I can go back to Odenstein, which I will do and cut ahead to that. Alright, so here we are back at Professor Odenstein, so let's go ahead and talk to him. And this time, since we're holding all the items we need, at least I think we are, if I remember correctly, when we click this option, it will detect that we're holding all the items, and it will give us some new dialogue. "I have all the components you asked for. Give them here, then." You hand all the components to Professor Odenstein. He tinkers with the components for a moment. He hands you a very odd-looking contraption. "There you are. Try not to lose it. It's one of a kind." So, here it is. I am pretty happy with the sprite for this, because it's just kind of silly, right? It's basically just the hammer, the pestle and mortar, and the cog all kind of like mashed around the wooden box. It doesn't really make any sense, and the cog isn't actually interacting with anything, so it's just kind of a really ridiculous item in looks, right? And I thought that was pretty funny. Anyways, if you examine it, it says a contraption that crushes bones to dust. And if you've never played any of the later RuneScapes, I can't remember if it was ever in... I think it was in RuneScape 2 at some point. It's definitely in RuneScape 3. I don't know about OSRS, but the Bone Crusher is an item that will automatically pick up bones for you as they drop from enemies and convert them into prayer experience. So anyways, now that we have the Bone Crusher, if we talk to him, The option to, ask him about the event doesn't show up. If we drop the Bone Crusher and talk to him, though, yeah, you can see we have an option to tell him we've lost the Bone Crusher, at which point he gets upset with you. Didn't I tell you to take care of it? Luckily for you, I've made a spare. Professor Odenstein, despite looking annoyed, hands you another Bone Crusher. And I apologize, I realize that I've probably just been switching back and forth between Odenstein and Odenstein, although I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Odenstein. So if I've said Odenstein and that's bugged you, I'm sorry. So anyways, yeah, he gives you back the Bone Crusher. He'll even give it back to you after the quest, so you can always come back and get it as long as you've made it once, which is usually how things in RuneScape Classic work. Anyways, so now that we have the Bone Crusher, we can go back to Spooky and Scary. Alright, here we are. So yeah, now we have the Bone Crusher, we have a way to defeat Spooky and Scary. I actually don't know where they went. I think they were supposed to stay here indefinitely, because that's the way I coded them, so that's kind of interesting. Anyways, so we'll go ahead and spawn them again, and they just give you the usual dialogue, but if we kill them now, you'll see that we get different messages. So, oh no, how have you defeated me? Spooky's bones collapse to the ground, you quickly pick them up. You should use the Bone Crusher on them to get rid of Spooky once and for all. So there are a couple different interactions you can do. So first of all, you can see I have Spooky's bones. If I click on the pumpkin again, he was actually too far away, so it spawned a new one. Anyways, so it says Spooky's bones pop out of your backpack, and he reforms. So if you click on the pumpkin, he's just gonna reform and remove the bones. Yeah, sorry that there's 3. He was just too far away. In the actual event, they actually aren't allowed to go that far, so that wouldn't happen. That's just because of the changes I made to be able to see all of the dialogues. Anyways, so we'll go ahead and kill him again. And we will pick back up his bones. And this time we will crush them. So when we crush his bones, you place the bones into the Bone Crusher. As the contraption starts grinding them to dust, you hear a faint voice. Wait, what's going on? What are you doing? Before long, the bones are completely reduced to dust. So now, Spooky has been grinded. If we try to click on the pumpkin again, he actually won't reappear. You see I have 2 scaries, but no new Spooky spawn. Because I've killed him, right? he isn't coming back. So now I no longer have the option to talk to them because it kind of breaks their dialogue if there's only one of them, because only one of them will have their lines. So the only thing I can do now is kill Scary. And so we'll go ahead and kill him. And basically the same thing happens, we get his bones. If I try to kill the second one, it'll still let me. And I can still pick up his bones. But if I were to try to grind both of them, it will actually just prevent me from doing it. Like once I grind one of them, the second pair basically becomes a useless item because it won't let me use them on the Bone Crusher. I guess I can just show you that. Anyways, so once we grind Scary's bones here, the quest is going to be over. So you place the bones into the Bone Crusher. The contraption starts grinding them to dust. You hear a faint voice. Wait, what's going on? What are you doing? Before long, the bones are completely reduced to dust. You have successfully defeated Spooky and Scary. They won't be reforming after that. Among the bone dust, you find an interesting looking ring. Congratulations, you have completed a bone to pick. That's the name we came up with. I think, yeah, Aurora actually came up with the name for it. I love it. I think it's great. So we have our odd looking ring called the Ring of Skull. If you examine it, it says imbued with the powers of a bona fide skeleton. I thought that was pretty funny. And yeah, if I try to use the Bone Crusher on Scary's bones, it's just gonna say nothing happens. So I can just drop those because those are a useless item. Nothing, I can't do anything with them anymore. And if I put on the ring, I get turned into a skeleton. And I can run around and play as a skeleton. I can even, where's that highwayman? I think he's over here somewhere. I can even go and attack NPCs as the skeleton. And it keeps me as the skeleton. And then when I take the ring off, I turn back into myself. So it's just kind of a little fun cosmetic item kind of thing. However, if you think about it, the implications of the skeletons dropping this item is kind of interesting because it kind of begs the questions if they actually were skeletons in the first place and you just like ground up the bones of like regular people. They were just morphed into skeletons, but I don't know. That's for you to decide. Maybe we'll expound on that in a future event. I don't know. So yeah, kind of an interesting drop, right? Alright, so there is one more thing I want to show because we technically do have a second reward for this quest. We have our Bone Crusher item, right? But you notice that when I killed the Highwayman, it didn't do what it does in the later versions of RuneScape. It didn't pick up his bones and convert it into XP for me. So the way to use the Bone Crusher is you use the bones on the Bone Crusher. And what happens when you do this is you place the bones into the Bone Crusher. The gods are angered by your sacrilege. Perhaps you didn't catch the XP that I got there, so let me spawn myself some more bones. And we can take a look. So when I do this, it gives me 9 prayer XP, which is actually about half of the XP that you would regularly get for grinding or for burying regular bones. See, watch. If I bury the bones, I get 19. And 9 is about half when we do the calculations and round down. Anyways, so this item is technically kind of a joke item. Because first of all, it isn't batched. It gives you way less XP. Yes, not having it be batched was intentional. The super long message is intentional, and the half XP is intentional. Basically, a Bone Crusher is an item we get asked to add all the time, and here it is. There you go. I hope you're happy, because now it's finally here. Anyways, so that almost concludes. I forgot there's one more thing we can go look at. If we go back to Lily, she does have a finishing line of dialogue for us. You don't have to see this line of dialogue to complete the quest, but it is here just so you can kind of have some closure. So you can say the skeletons have been dealt with. She beams at you. Oh, really? Thank you so much. They have been really putting a damper on things. In return for getting rid of the skeletons, you can harvest my pumpkins if you'd like. You can probably bake them into a pie or something. So, if we go back to Remington, and we go to harvest the pumpkins, instead of having skeletons spawn, they actually are a regular harvesting node now. And as you can see, I have now harvested a pumpkin called Lily's Pumpkin. The reason that we called them that, instead of just calling them regular pumpkins, is because RuneScape Classic already has an item called a pumpkin. These are actually a rare item or a Halloween dropped item that was dropped very early on. I think it was one of the first Halloween drops that Jagex ever did, like Andrew Gower ever did. I could be wrong because I'm not great on my RuneScape Classic history. Anyways, so we wanted to distinguish them. These Lily pumpkins, they heal 7 when you eat them, and you can, as she said, bake them into a pie. So if I give myself a pie dish, I think that's what it's called, and I give myself pastry dough, I think is what it's called. And you make pastry dough by combining water and flour. What I can do is I can use the pastry dough, I think, with the pie dish, right? Yeah, and then I use the Lily's pumpkin on the pie, and then it gives me an uncooked Lily's pumpkin pie. And then if I go to a cooking range, honestly, I know this is a weird cooking range to go to, but I couldn't think of another one off the top of my head. I don't remember if there's one in Falador. I can cook it on the stove, and it gives me a Lily's pumpkin pie, which you eat in 2 slices. Each slice heals 6, I think, for a total of 12. And then once you eat it, you get the pie dish. So just kind of a nice little item you can get to make yourself some pie. Technically, it's the best pie in the game. If we go to the hit skill guide, you can see... Sorry, I mean the best pie that you can make via normal means. Because you can make these 2 pies, but these ones require extra steps and require a lot higher level cooking. Lily's pumpkin pies only require level 40 to cook, I think. Yeah, level 40. The pumpkin pie and the white pumpkin pie are level 80, and the pumpkin pie requires you to give up a discontinued Halloween item, although technically they aren't discontinued on Cabbage, so I guess it's fine if you make them into it. But the white pumpkin pie does the exact same thing as the regular pumpkin pie anyways. Alright, this is just me cutting in. I filmed the rest of this and I totally forgot about the last new item for this Halloween. It's the pink Halloween mask. There technically already was a pink one, but it looked really purple. In fact, we can just look at it. Purple Halloween mask. So last year, this was the pink Halloween mask, but if you look at it, it looks like exactly the same color as my shirt, which is purple. So we made a real pink one this year. You can see it's much more pink, which is nice. And if I give myself the pink skirt, you can see that the colors actually match pretty nicely, and that's kind of what we were going for, is to match the mask to the skirt. So this just drops out of the Halloween crackers item that are dropping every hour on Halloween, which is almost over. So if you didn't get any Halloween crackers, sorry, I guess you'll have to wait for next year. You might be able to find a player that will be willing to open them with you, though. So if you didn't get any Halloween crackers and you didn't get a Halloween mask, all hope is probably not lost, because people usually like to hoard the Halloween crackers. So I'm sure you could find someone that would be willing to help you get any of the masks. I think currently we have unicorn mask, wolf masks, these monster masks, and most of them come in green, red, blue, purple, and black and white, I think, too. And this one is the only one that comes in pink, though. Like actual pink. Anyways, so yeah, back to the original footage, I guess. So, that is the end of the first part of this video. Like I said, the next part of the video, I will just be going over a couple of the implementation details, as Mod Aurora would so affectionately refer to it as nerd talk. So if that doesn't really interest you, feel free to go ahead and click away now. But I hope if you do decide to click away, I at least hope you enjoyed this first half. But yeah, we'll go ahead and hop into the IDE and take a look at a little bit of the code. Alright, here we are in the IDE. This is the file for a bone to pick. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not going to go as in depth as I have in previous years. I just want to point out a few things specifically, particularly because this is a pretty large file. So anyways, the couple things that I wanted to point out, first of all, is how I got these skeletons to randomly show up while you're just doing things. What I had to do is I added a new trigger called timed event. So the way that the quest code works in Open RuneScape Classic and original RuneScape Classic also are the way our quest code works is actually really similar. It's not quite 100% replica yet, but we're getting there. Is that the way the quest code works is that everything works off of a trigger. So when I click on an NPC to talk to them, that starts a talk to trigger. When I kill an NPC, that starts a killed NPC trigger. When I pick up an item, that's a ground item take or ground object take trigger. Stuff like that. So I made a new one called a timed event trigger. So the way this currently works, which I'm actually not a super fan of and I'm going to fix in the future, is it is tied to the autosave timer. So on Cabbage 30 seconds, your player and all their information, your inventory, is saved to the database. And also on Cabbage, because it's tied to the autosave timer, it will trigger the timed event plugin. And basically when that happens, this function here gets ran, which is essentially just making sure the player isn't in a position where having two skeletons spawn on top of them and lock them into dialogue would be a problem. So basically it's just checking to make sure you're in combat and everything, or not in combat, excuse me, and also just that you're not already talking to other NPCs and that you aren't inside a bank, because we don't really want to crowd up the banks. And lastly, it just makes sure that you're on the correct quest stage. Once that happens, what I do is I save a cache key that stores the future time, so about 4 minutes and 45 seconds ahead. Because I only want the skeletons to spawn about that often, about every 5-ish minutes. So it will store a time in the future that's about 5 minutes ahead. And then every time this on random event triggers, which like I said is every 30 seconds because it's tied to the autosave, it will check that cache value and see if we've reached that future time yet. And if we have, then we go ahead and spawn the skeletons. And these skeletons will heckle you. I have a specific function that is specifically designed for heckling the player. The first 3 heckles, so the strength one, the prayer one, and the cooking one, those ones are fixed, particularly because the cooking one leads you to go talk to Lily, or at least it should. I think some players have been having a difficult time with the direction, but it does mention Lily, so hopefully you kind of get the clue that that's where you need to go. Her and Abbott Langley are the only NPCs that the skeletons ever mention, so the Abbott Langley one might be a red herring, but thankfully, it probably wouldn't take you too long to figure that out. Anyways, if you go talk to them again, though, at the pumpkin patch, it can choose a random, we call them heckles, like I said. It'll choose a random heckle between all of them. So there are 10, I believe. I wanted to have a pretty good variety. So the last one is the fire making one, and all of them are set up so that it checks for a specific level. Like I said, prayer is the only one that has the 3 tiers like we saw, but the rest of them have at least 2, one for a high level and one for a low level. So that is how the heckles were handled, is it just picks them randomly. Same thing when the skeletons die, which happens up here. Is that when they die, what I actually do is I say that they don't die. So when they die, it tells, they say, oh no, how have you defeated me? Their bones collapse. And if you aren't holding the bone crusher, it spawns some bones, just some regular bones on the ground. I just wanted to spawn regular bones in case another player came and picked them up. I didn't want players to be able to, pick up Spooky and Scary's bones unless they needed to. That's also why I put them directly into your inventory when you do kill them while you're holding the Bone Crusher, because you really only ever need one of each of those. And so I wanted to minimize the chance of players getting duplicates or getting them when they shouldn't have them. So anyways, we spawn some regular bones, we remove the NPC, we then delay for a little bit, so this will actually lock your character in place. The bones reform, which basically means we just remove the ones on the ground. We re-add the NPC, and then what I do is I actually look for the other skeleton and I respawn them. Since the skeletons are on a spawn timer, they only last about a minute or 45-ish seconds. What I want to do is that after you kill the skeleton, I want them to linger around a little bit after they come back. So what it does is it looks for the other skeleton, grabs it, and then very quickly, almost imperceptibly, removes it and then immediately just re-adds it. So that way it can stick around for as long as the other one. Because I thought it would look kind of weird if you kill the skeleton, it, regenerated and then stuck around longer than his buddy. So the reason that I remove and re-add the other one is so that they're always sticking around for the same amount of time. You should never have one skeleton despawn before the other one. There are some edge cases where that could probably happen, but it's not very likely. Other than that, the only other thing I really wanted to talk about is how I had to use kind of inauthentic features to get this quest to work. So originally in RuneScape Classic, if I wanted to switch the NPC we're interacting with like I do between spooky and scary, it's actually kind of a pain. So in original RuneScript, there is a function which we can see an example of here called if near vis NPC. And basically what this does is it looks for an NPC within, I think it's a 16 tile radius, something like that matches the ID of the NPC that we're looking for. And what this does is it switches the interacting, the context NPC that we're interacting with, and it makes it so that they're the one that talks. That would be really annoying if I was to do that authentically, because in between every line where I wanted to switch between the skeletons, I would have to call that function and scan for the other skeleton, which would actually be pretty inefficient on top of being annoying to program, because I would have to be doing, distance calculations and scanning for NPCs, which can get kind of expensive, especially if I'm doing it a ton of times per interaction. So what I've done is I've used our original inauthentic versions of the NPC say function, which actually lets you provide a specific NPC to talk to. So that way I can just grab a reference to each of the skeletons once, and then I can just switch back and forth between them by just providing a reference to which skeleton I want to talk. Because like I said, normally NPC say in the authentic version, it only lets you talk to the NPC you're currently interacting with, the current context NPC, if you will, which you can only change using the if near vis NPC function. So I did break down and use inauthentic RuneScript functions here, but it's just kind of something that I had to do, especially because I was switching back and forth between NPCs so often. If I wasn't, I much prefer to use the more authentic feeling RuneScript functions, so that way I kind of stick to the functionality that the game originally would have had. But like I said, here it would have just been too much. Other than that, it's all pretty straightforward, and I think I've showed pretty much everything else that I've done in previous videos. So if you want to check out the Halloween event that I did called Esther's Bunnies, you can look for that video on my channel, and I go more in depth about how quests are usually written, and I also go into detail about how the sprite tool works. It's not, I still wouldn't use it as a tutorial, but it does kind of go over the process about how a little bit more in depth about how actually making one of these events would work. And you'll also want to keep an eye out, because in the future I will be releasing a video to go along with the quest that I'm working on. Hopefully I plan to have it out by the end of the year, but we'll see about that, especially with Christmas. Aurora and I will probably do an event for that, so we'll see if I can actually finish the quest by then. It would be nice, but we'll see. In that video, I plan on detailing every step of the way for making a quest, and that one I will try to make in to as comprehensive of a guide as possible, detailing everything from planning a quest to coding it to getting the sprites into the game. We'll even look at how to do a little bit of landscape editing, pretty much every step that you would need to take to write your own quest, because I know a lot of people probably want to do that, but it is pretty daunting to get yourself familiarized with a tool chain and a code base that you probably aren't familiar with, right? So I want to lower that barrier to entry for people that might be interested in contributing content to the game but don't really know where to start. But like I said, it'll probably be a while before that comes, but just wanted to give you a heads up. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's anything that I missed, I'll try to put it down below in the comments or the description, so that way you can have a little bit more information. If you have any questions about anything specific, feel free to let me know, and I will be happy to answer them either on Discord or in the comments. Be sure to, if you're in the Open RuneScape Classic Discord server, be sure to shoot Mod Aurora a thank you, because like I said, she helped out a ton with this. I'm kind of just the code monkey when it comes to stuff like this, but she's really the brains behind it all, so big thanks to her for, you know, basically making this event possible. Anyways, that's all I have to say. So I hope you enjoyed this year's Halloween event. I hope we made it fun for you. I hope you like the rewards. And hopefully Christmas will be good too. Maybe just as good, maybe better. I don't know. Anyways, I guess I'll see you then when I do a developer commentary about that one, hopefully. Or the quest that I'm working on, whichever one comes first. It'll probably be the Christmas event. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.